We want to inspire the next generation through the awe inspiring transformational stories of our next guest. I'm so honored to have with us today a graduate of one of the most sacred HBCU institutions I know, Morris Brown College, located in Atlanta, Georgia. Please welcome to the Walls of Wisdom, Morris Brown College alumnus, Charles Barlow Sr.
Dr. Smith, I want to thank you for inviting me to the Walls of Wisdom podcast. I am a proud graduate of Morris Brown College, 1971. Originally from a little small town 45 miles south of Atlanta, Butts County. In terms of what I envision myself as a person who was capable of doing college work, and I went back in my mind to when I made a decision that I wanted to go to college. And it was around the sixth grade, I believe, where we had to make a choice between whether we wanted a college track courses or whether we just wanted the basic. And me and my friends got together and we chose a college track because we said, well, if we don't choose the college track and if we go through high school and decide to go to college, we'll be prepared. So let's choose the college track, and in that way, we can always opt out. And so we decided to do that. Now, one of the reasons that influenced that decision, we had some young teachers who had just graduated college. This is probably their first teaching class. One in particular was Mr. Williams, who taught us French, who was a graduate from an HBCU, and also Mr. Curtis Gay, who was a graduate of an HBCU. Mr. Williams was Fort Valley, and Mr. Gay was a Morehouse graduate. So they kind of influenced us because they were very impressive, and we really learned a lot from them. And they were very influential on our lives because we had so much respect for them. They looked good, they talked good, they sounded very smart, and they were very friendly to us, and they encouraged us. Now, my high school, I will tell you, nurtured me. Uh, so much so, I was so appreciative of what Henderson High School and elementary school did for me. And this school was built in 1955 specifically for Blacks. And we were the first class to go all the way from first grade through 12th grade and graduate from that high school. And so much so, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, I went back in 2017 and started a process, and we actually bought that school. It's 76,000 square feet on 2 acres, a high school and an elementary school. We're going to transform it into a community workforce development center. And I have, over the period of time of my career, I have gone back several times and I've volunteered in the school system because I realized that where I have been and what I've accomplished in life, that school had a lot to do with that. Now, in terms of my living environment and the impact that it had on contributing to my educational journey, I'm a sharecropper's son. I picked cotton, plowed mules, farmed. And one of the things that would happen to us, we would stay out of school every other day in the spring and every other day in the fall because it was either harvest or plenty time. And I had thirst for knowledge. It was kind of a thing, if to deprive somebody of something, it makes them want it that much more. And the other school kids got the chance to go to school every day. I'm going to school every other day, which set me behind. And I wanted it so much. I just had such a desire for education. I was a major part of Sunday school. That was another part of my life because I just thirst for knowledge. I wanted to know. In terms of factors that influenced my decision to pursue a higher education, and the reason behind Select Morris Brown were my classmates. We had a very tight group of classmates that we went to high school with, and they were also my best friends. And they had decided they were going to go to Morris Brown, and they encouraged me to go to Morris Brown. So they influenced me. And I call them my posse. There's actually a project called Posse where the organization sends kids to school in groups because what they found is if they're with people who they're familiar with, they have a better chance of staying in school. So my posse, my classmates from high school, kind of helped me to stay in when I got discouraged. They wouldn't let me quit. My initial impression of the experience during my first year on campus, I lived off campus, so I didn't have as much interaction with the on-campus students, except when I went to classes, except when we had a major event. So my on-campus impression was the band, because I joined the Morris Brown Band, which at the time was very famous. They had been through the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, I think twice before we got there. And that was one of the things that attracted us, because they had already been invited to come back in the 1967 Thanksgiving. So that was one of the reasons we joined the band, to get to go to the Thanksgiving parade. And the thing that impressed me was, doggone it, we practiced during the summer, in summer camp, from 8 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night. I had never in my life seen anything like that, that you'd have to work so hard. But that's why they were so famous, because they were very precise about what they did. And we had one of the largest freshman classes that Morris Brown had ever had. And so I met new friends from all over the country, and that had an impression on me, because there were people from New York, people from California, people from Nebraska. I mean, everywhere. So I'm a little country boy from Jackson, Georgia, and hadn't been hardly anywhere but to Atlanta and back to Jackson. So this was a great thing. It really impressed me a lot. And some of the on-campus traditions were the football games, the band performance. And we used to sing this song, "I'm so glad that I'm from Morris Brown." And we were a proud school. And see, there was a lot of competition between the other schools, Clark Atlanta University, at the time it was just Clark College, and Morehouse. And Spelman, even though they didn't have a athletic program, they joined in with Morehouse. So we were very competitive with our school. So that singing that song and the competition in the Atlanta University Center had a great impression on me. And with being in the Atlanta University Center, where you had all of these schools that I attended all of those schools. I took classes at Morehouse, classes at Spelman, classes at Clark Atlanta University, and classes at Morris Brown. So it was like having a major university campus by being able to do that. So that impressed me a lot as well. Again, meeting people from all sorts of places in the United States. What surprised me the most about college life, the freedom to do what the heck I wanted to do when I wanted to do it and when I didn't want to do it. And that was a detriment to many persons, because nobody was going to make you go class. But one thing about me, I was so disciplined, and I decided I was going to get out of there in 4 years. You didn't have to tell me, but the freedom to do and not to do was something that I like. You didn't have parents trying to make you do something or not make you stop doing something. And there was a great support system. When I came into Morris Brown, I was reading at a 10th grade level, not because of my high school deficiency, but it was partly because of that staying out of school every other day, a day in the summer and the spring. And so, came in on probation. I had to take a light course. I had to take a reading course so I could learn to read at a college level. And the instructors really cared about me. I could feel that. I could feel they wanted me to succeed. So they really nurtured me. That was a good feeling in terms of that college life. Now, my transformation and how I kind of evolved, I want to say, over a period of time when I started getting good grades and found out that I could handle this, and then the camaraderie with the thing about it, I can always, after classes or between classes, talk to my friends, find out how they were doing. And we all majored in different things, so we're all taking the same classes. Well, one of the turning points in my life was actually in my junior year. I started interviewing for jobs. We had the Atlanta University Center had a center where all of the major corporations came. And the thing that really got me charged up was I interviewed with several different companies. for an internship, and I won an internship in New York City with an organization called Black Retail Action Group. And I met a whole group of, they selected at least two students from all of the HBCUs who were in that program. So again, I got to interact with people from other HBCUs across the country. And so my transformation took place when I got there and got that internship where I worked in New York City over the summer, which was had a major impact on my life. I had so much confidence when I came back. I mean, you can tell me anything. I can accomplish anything. I can go in the world and do anything I wanted to do. And there were certain individuals on the campus that impacted me. Some department heads who really had an impact on my life, that influenced me a lot. And that was Mr. Oscar Burnett, he was a very tough man. He would tell you that if you get through my courses, through my department, you can work with anybody, anywhere. You can compete with anybody from anywhere in the world. And he was absolutely right. He was hard. And I remember one time I was failing and I went to him to ask for help because I knew that if I failed, I would get kicked out of school. And he helped me. He helped me because I tried. He gave me an assignment and I did the assignment. It was sloppy. I didn't think I did a good job. His point was, you completed the assignment that I gave you. So I was very impressed with him because he was not only tough, but he was preparing you for the world ahead, and he really did. It made me very competitive. And then my reading instructors, I mentioned Miss Benson. Oh, she was like a mother to me. She was tough, but at the same time, I knew she cared about me. She wanted me to succeed. And of course, Mr. Cleopas Johnson, the band director. Oh man, I love that man. He was tough, but I knew he cared about me. I knew he wanted me to succeed. And I learned a lot from just being in the band. I learned about as much as being in the band and about discipline and how you can, you got to put the work in to get the work out. But he really impressed me. My career choice, why I decided to work in business. In my early years, I can remember standing up in the cotton field saying, you know what? I ain't going to be a cotton picker all my life. One day I'm going to be a dentist or I'm going to be a businessman. Well, I learned when I got to college, I didn't like the sciences. So I opted and defaulted to the management, the business goal. And I ended up getting a first job with Money Insurance Company in New York City. Drafted, and I went into the Army and became a non-commissioned officer in 12 months. And I was very confident that I could do anything that I wanted to do if I just kept working hard at it. And I worked for Xerox Corporation and for 18 years. I rose through the rank in sales and management, became a general manager. I ran a company called OnPoint Technology and for 14 years. I learned that I didn't have to know all technology. I just had to hire right people. And I started a consulting practice, which is about 27 years now, quality management transformation solution. Use all the experiences that I learned in corporate America to be able to train other organizations on how to build self-managed teams. And in terms of my dreams, I've been able to accomplish because of my education. I'm going to say, first of all, I graduated in 4 years. I said I was going to do it, and I did. I went into the Army and became a non-commissioned officer in 12 months, which was unheard of. Xerox became a general manager. At one point, became a region general manager. I own my own business. I started a ministry. Community service has always been a big thing with me. Every 5 years when I was at Xerox, I would go back and work in the community. As a matter of fact, I was alone executive to 5 Morris Brown presidents because I went back to help. Some of the dreams I've been able to manifest because of my education. Like I mentioned before, I graduated 4 years. I joined the Army after was drafted, and I went to work for Xerox Corporation after the military, and I was there for 18 years. I worked for OnPoint Technology. I ran an operation for 14 years, and I've owned my own business and I started a ministry. I actually started a church, and community service is one thing that I love doing. And I think I mentioned earlier that every 5 years, even when I was working in corporate America, I would take time off and go back and work in the community. And when I retired and not moved back home, but started going back home, I saw that a lot of things that needed to change in the community, and I wanted to make an impact in the community. And at this point, organized a group and purchased the old high school that I attended, that's Henderson High and Elementary School, and we're going to transform it into a community workforce development center. That's one of my biggest accomplishments that my education has helped me to do. And of course, I have children and I have grandchildren. I have 4 children. My wife and I both graduated from Morris Brown, and my 4 children graduated from Morris Brown, and we received the Legacy Award for our contributions to the school as a family, and the fact that we all graduated from Morris Brown last year. Now, issues that I'm passionate about gives me an opportunity to contribute and raise awareness about giving back to the community. As I mentioned earlier, again, I've always had a sensitivity to the community, and it's just something about Morris Brown and the environment that makes you want to go back and help. Even while I was in school, we were doing things in the community, and I just mentioned this Henderson School project and starting the church. And I have 3 priorities that I've always focused on. I think I mentioned those are as God first, family and people second, and my vocation third. I'm very passionate about those things. And so what I have been able to do in terms of not just raising the issues, but being an example in addressing those issues in the community. So that's my story, and I think I've covered the things that are important.
My goodness, I am definitely in awe, and the walls of wisdom is in awe by your story. Charles, you have really undergone a major transformation by attending your HBCU. I just want you to provide us with a bit more of your wisdom, if you will. In my book, Sacred Walls, I talk a lot about the sacred nature of HBCUs, that they should not be dismantled in any way. The word sacred can be defined as something that is connected to God and or worthy of awe and respect. Plus why you would consider your alma mater, Morris Brown College, sacred.
Uh, it's a good question, because one of the things that when Morris Brown lost its accreditation, and when we went into bankruptcy, came out of bankruptcy, one of the board members asked the board to allow him to form a focus group to help Morris Brown to get back on our feet, get our accreditation back, and to continue to grow. And I became a part of that group, and we met every Tuesday, starting in 2015. We met every Tuesday except holidays from 2015 until we got our accreditation back in 2022. And let me kind of give you a foundation. And this is our creed. Our creed is about aspiring and believing and trusting God because of what we've learned in Morris Brown. This is the creed that whenever we found a rough spot and we kind of maybe start to lose our way, I would always bring the group back to the focus by this creed. We imagine, we aspire, and we believe. And it's actually taking the Morris Brown alma mater and making it real and live in terms of how we live and how we give our time and talent to protect Morris Brown. It says, we imagine a Morris Brown College that will be greater than she has ever been, the pride of earth, the pride of Atlanta, the pride of Georgia, the pride of the USA, and the pride of the world, who gave to me another birth. And what you hear in the parts of the alma mater, to learn, to grow, and to achieve greatness. We aspire to give our time, talent, and financial resources to remake Morris Brown College a haven for hungry souls like those of us who needed a chance to learn how to achieve greatness. Feeding them shall be her goal, to prepare them to compete in the world and marketplace. We believe with all our hearts, minds, and souls that we are on the right path to remake Morris Brown College an emblem of the brave and free, a welcome true to everyone until thy work is done. Hail to thee, maker of men, honor to once again, sacred truths on firmest ground. Hail to thee, dear Morris Brown. To thy precepts praise accord, to them may we all be bound, and bow and thank the gracious Lord for dear old Morris Brown. So that inspires people. If you feel a little down and you think we're not going to accomplish the goals, and
Right.
that's makes it so sacred.
Wow. And I hear the word sacred in your alma mater. And you could see that in a lot of the alma maters that we hear about with HBCUs, just how passionate the founders were about these institutions, and they wanted to make sure that continued. And so thank you so much for sharing that. I want to just switch over to the students. If you could give advice to a student who has struggled throughout his high school years with their capacity to learn, or even to a student who might have done well but is unsure of his or her next steps after high school, what advice would you give them?
Mr. Mandela said education is the most powerful that can change the world, and nobody can take that away from you once you get that. I came to Morris Brown as a lowly sharecropper, not totally confident in myself, but Morris Brown needed that confidence. They gave me that extra push. I tell them, if you got through registration, you can get through anything. It didn't matter what year you were in. It was probably the first year. But I found, we thought we were the only one that had challenges doing registration, but it happened on all the campuses
Absolutely.
with registration. But it's something that keeps me motivated. It's called no excuse, because all it's doing is taking some of the barriers that I've had in life and what happened. And one is, I was born on a farm as a sharecropper, picked cotton and vegetables, plowed mules. I stayed out of school every other day in the spring and the fall. But no excuse. I learned to survive on very little, and the value of hard work and a good reputation. Went to school every other day in the spring and fall. Missed critical education time. No excuse. Graduated from high school and from Morris Brown College in 4 years. In the top 10 of my class. Former Morris Brown College alumni president, and also served on the trustee and advisor to 5 MBC presidents.